Hello and welcome back to the sports show, the only sports show where we promise that we're going to cover the Olympics, and then your homeboy did not watch a single Olympic event. Actually, that's not true. I watched. Actually, I want you to guess. What do you think I watched a lot of for this Olympics?
Let's go with like table tennis.
No. Also, you're gonna have to excuse Nate's microphone. He's using a different setup right now, but we were running short on time, so we're rolling with it. It's going to be a pretty common theme for today. No, it was
Roll
not
with it.
table tennis. Um,
I mean, is it one of the more obvious ones? I mean,
no,
I would think
like
track or
I watched like a little bit of track and a little bit of swimming. Um, I watched very little basketball. I actually watched more 3v3 basketball than traditional basketball.
oh really?
Yeah, I basically only watched USA versus Serbia, and I only watched the last like 2 minutes of that game.
Yeah, I only watched the game against Serbia and the one against France, so I'd
Um,
be different with you.
so I basically only watched the Olympics when I was at work. I didn't watch it really at home. So the two events that I saw a random amount of was rugby and water polo.
Yeah, that's random. Yeah, because rugby, I feel like that was in the very beginning.
Yeah.
So you're basically telling me that after that you watched like
Like
an hour
I
of
watched
water
like the
polo and
track
that's
and
it.
field and swimming like they were usually on TV. But yeah, I watched dude I mean everyone knows that rugby is pretty hardcore. Like I don't think that's surprising to anyone. Rugby is just basically football with less rules. Um, I did not realize like I've always heard um how violent water polo is. I did not realize how violent water polo was. Did I watched a lot of women's water polo specifically, and I would watch like these women mantle on to the other team and just hold them down while they're trying to get at the ball or whatever, and just
Yeah, there's a
practically
lot
drown them. And
yeah,
then
a lot
they
of
would like
drowning
come
happening.
up, and if you watch soccer or basketball and you make any amount of contact, there's always like the "where's the flag" kind of look. But no, I would watch these women almost get drowned, in front of a live international audience, and they come right back up, and all they're doing, they're just immediately looking for where the rugby or not the rugby, where the ball was. Like, I don't think I saw a single penalty being thrown during water polo. It's insane.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's kind of
I
part of
also
it.
watched I watched the gymnastics, women's gymnastics team, of course. But
Gotcha. So some water polo, some rugby, some gymnastics. Top three right there.
and then shout out to Djokovic for winning the Golden Slam.
Yeah, yeah, he did. He did. He's a go from a numbers perspective. I'd still take Federer, but
Yeah,
you know, it is what it is.
I think I think that's a closer debate now than it was 5 or 6 years ago when Federer was still playing. Did Federer ever win a Golden Slam? I don't remember.
No, he won the a doubles Olympic gold, but yeah, never a singles Olympic gold. So
Okay,
yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, that's
because
what I was saying. Like Djokovic definitely has the numbers argument. He's got more total slams. He's got the golden slam. He has he's been number one longer than anybody else ever from a just a cumulative standpoint. So
I do feel
he's
kind
got
of
that
like
argument.
I do
But
kind
for
of
the
feel like Federer was a little unlucky that at the height of his career, maybe not at the height, but like the second peak of his career,
yeah,
he was basically competing with Nadal for the French Open.
one Djokovic
Well, yeah, and
for to be
Djokovic,
clear,
but
but
there was like wasn't there like 6 years in a row that Nadal won the French Open?
yeah, Nadal's won the French Open 14 times. So I don't think it was 6 years, but I think he's had like at least two 4 year in a row ones or something like that. But yeah, I think Djokovic from a numbers perspective is a goat. From a peak perspective, I don't think anyone is ever going to really get close to Federer from '04 to '08, when he was just like pretty much winning everything except for the French Open. But yeah,
Yeah, dude, I it's kind of embarrassing. I haven't watched a lot of tennis. I found out a couple weeks ago that so I knew Federer had retired because the last time I looked, he was already on a downswing. Like Federer was ranked 13th or 14th. I think this was right after his injury.
oh yeah,
I did not realize that he had retired 2 years ago.
yeah, September 22.
Did you watch the Amazon documentary?
Oh, of course. I mean, I watched his actual retirement, like last match thing or whatever too.
Yeah, I need to
So
watch it. I've
it's
I've
pretty
been
good.
so out of I didn't realize how long it's been since I've watched tennis. One of my coworkers is pretty into tennis, so he was
Well, you
watching like
should
the
watch.
U.S. Open.
Yeah, so you should watch it now. I mean, we got Sinner Medvedev tonight, so
Yeah, see, I don't
we'll
I don't
see.
actually outside of Djokovic, I don't think I know anyone in the top 10 because I don't think Nadal's top 10 anymore.
Yeah, I don't think you do. And
Um,
Nadal's probably going to retire. Honestly, either this year or next year.
I'm pretty
So
sure Andy Murray hasn't been relevant in years.
he literally just retired like last month.
And then for like women's tennis, I know Sharapova retired a while ago because I think Sharapova retired when I was still watching.
Yeah,
Um,
Sharapova retired maybe like 6 years ago. Serena retired 2 years ago.
yes, I
Uh,
watched Serena's last tennis match that she was doing while she was still pregnant.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
insane. I watched that, and then I don't think Selena Halep is still top 10 for women's.
Well, she got suspended because I guess there was like a doping thing with her.
Oh shit!
I don't think it was like, I don't. She's saying that it wasn't like a on purpose thing. You know what I mean? Like
I
it's kind of like,
accidentally I tripped and fell on these steroids.
it,
I mean, it's probably more nuanced than that. I don't mean to
yeah. I
take
mean, I
light
don't
of
think
it,
it. Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, that's unfortunate.
I don't think she actually did do something. It's unfortunate for her though. But yeah, I'll just say now, if you watch tennis, the main two guys after Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, Alcaraz, and Sinner are like the next, like the two big ones. Sinner won the Australian this year. Alcaraz won Wimbledon, Roland Garros, and Sinner still in the U.S. Open playing tonight. So
Yeah,
remember those two names.
I don't even know why one. I don't remember why. Oh, I started watching tennis in college because I had a lot of free time, and then I kind of stopped watching tennis when I had to start working more regularly. But the U.S. Opens usually at a pretty reasonable time.
Yeah, just watch the night matches and stuff. So
All right, well that was our Olympic slash tennis episode, 8 minute
pure
episode.
analysis right there.
Um, Despite being called a sports show, we are predominantly a football podcast. I used to do other podcasts. I used to talk about League of Legends and Valorant. There's some exciting stuff going on in Valorant, I guess.
Have you
China.
have you done one recently for either of those?
No, I haven't done really anything.
No
I mean,
podcast.
I
It's
feel
the
kind of
last one,
yeah, the one with you.
like in February.
Yeah, I mean, I feel kind of bad because from February to now, I was planning to try to like set up a website for us and do more stuff with the podcast, but it just didn't end up happening. But it's if anyone actually watches the show and is a fan of the show, you're probably pretty used to being disappointed. With that
Yeah,
being said, I don't know how much football I'm going to be able to watch this year, and what my availability is going to be. So same as last year, we're aiming to do a podcast every other week. Fortunately, last year we actually ended up doing almost every week last year. I think we
no,
missed.
I think, yeah, no, I think we missed like 2 weeks or something like that.
No, we missed more than
Um,
that. We missed a lot of December, but
maybe okay, maybe towards the end, but we had a pretty good like two
Yeah,
and a
we
half
and we
months
finished
straight there.
strong. I think we missed the Super Bowl episode, but other than that, like we did most of the postseason or playoffs, I guess. We did most of the
Yeah,
playoffs, and then we did the episode after the Super Bowl.
that was easily our best season ever. So we'll see what we do this year.
Have you watched any of the preseason games?
Nope.
Yeah, I looked up some numbers, but I don't know. I've never enjoyed preseason games.
Oh yeah. There's no unless there's like a player that you really wanted to see how they're
No, dude.
fitting into the NFL. That's
Even
the only time I'll ever watch it.
even when I was excited for like a rookie to play, I still didn't want. I'll look up the stats. Even on like when I play NFL, half the time I just skip through the preseason when I'm doing franchise mode.
Yeah, there's no
Uh,
reason to.
so we've got a few topics today. Speaking of preseasons and being excited to watch teams, who do you think is going to be the best rookie quarterback this year?
Well, I think it's either going to be either Caleb Williams or Bo Nix. Caleb's looked pretty good in the preseason, just from the couple of highlights I've seen. And Bo Nix, I've seen a few highlights as well, and he's looked really good. I feel like he's exactly what Sean Payton wants in an offense, like quick release. He's athletic, can move around if he needs to, but he's the biggest thing with him is he's accurate and has quick release, kind of like Drew Brees. So, you know what? I think Caleb just is still going to win Rookie of the Year. I feel like Chicago has upgraded their offense to help him, but I think Bo Nix is going to be right behind him.
I think I agree with that. Um, I think I've gone into a lot of Facebook arguments about Caleb Williams. This is before the preseason even started. Keep in mind, people saying Caleb Williams is going to be the next Patrick Mahomes, which people have been saying since the draft. And now he's the best quarterback, and I see all these tier lists where he's ranked 2 or ranked 3. But everything before the preseason, everything about Caleb Williams screamed to me NFL bust. This reminds me a lot of the hype around Johnny Manziel. This reminds me a lot about how like Jamarcus Russell carried himself as a rookie, where he has a chip on his shoulder. He's been told all his life that he's good. But I will say, I had very similar thoughts on Taylor Lawrence. Do you notice how
Trevor
I stopped
Lawrence.
calling him Tyler Lawrence?
Well,
Or
it's
no,
Trevor.
Trevor. God damn it. It's
Still
not
got it
Tyler.
right. Wrong.
Yeah. It's because I keep
It's early.
thinking
It's
T
early.
Law, and then I think of Jennifer Taylor.
Yeah,
Is Jennifer Taylor even a person?
Jennifer Lawrence. Wait, what?
I was thinking of Jennifer Lawrence. Is Jennifer
Oh,
Taylor
okay.
a person?
I don't
She
think
is.
Jennifer Taylor.
She is.
Is, who is she?
She was in Two and a Half Men, Wild
Oh,
Things,
okay. Well,
God's
why
Not
her?
Dead. I don't know. I don't know. I'm never gonna get Trevor Lawrence right. I thought it was a 2023 problem.
Yeah.
But I had similar issues with Trevor Lawrence where up until he got drafted, he had only lost like 1 or 2 games. And he looks pretty good. We'll talk more about like how we have team rankings later, and I'll dive a little bit more into the Caleb Williams versus Bo Nix thing. But yeah, I think right now on paper, Caleb Williams looks more ready to be a better quarterback just because he has a better team around him. Um, Chicago benefited a lot from Carolina sending them DJ Moore. Um, Chicago has a pretty solid roster. They were able to pick up Keenan Allen earlier this year. They got DeAndre Swift, which for some reason I feel like he's supposed to be a pretty good running back. Him and Herbert, but I could be mistaken. In either case, you compare him to what Bo Nix has, which is Cortland Sutton, who I think is you're gonna hate this, who I think is overrated. Um, forget who the other wide receiver we have now is.
Oh, we got Marvin Mims still there.
I was thinking of Lil Jordan Humphrey, but yeah, Marvin Mims, Lil Jordan Humphrey.
We got rid of Tim Patrick.
Oh shit,
But
I didn't realize that.
yeah,
But
so
yeah,
we'll see.
I think uh I think Bo Nix might be better in the long run, but that might just be me being a homer. Yeah, I think Caleb Williams is most likely going to be the best. It's kind of sad that JJ McCarthy is already out of the running just because I think he would have been the only other quarterback in contention. Because Jaden Daniels, I don't think Washington has improved enough for him to really to be really given a fair chance. Michael Penix Jr. isn't even starting, and then again, I'll talk more about this when
Well,
we go
and
through team ranking. But
yeah, and Drake May might not even start either. They were liking the other rookie quarterback better apparently,
that's
Joe
funny.
Milton.
Did that same thing
Uh,
happen with Mac Jones and Zach Bailey?
Bailey Zappi.
God damn it! At least I
Yeah.
got the
So
name right. I didn't get the order right, but yeah,
no, you're good. You're good.
I think the
Yeah.
Patriots just have
So
way too many hurdles
yeah,
for Drake May to remotely succeed at all.
he's just too raw. Like he's a big project. I don't think you need time for him to kind of like get to that point. Um, but yeah, no, I think yeah overall I think it's either gonna be Bo Nix or Caleb Williams. I actually think Bo Nix is the best setup. He's got an offensive coach. I think there might be some better weapons as far as we know overall in Chicago for Caleb, but I think Bo Nix with Sean Payton as his coordinator, head coach, I think could really succeed. So I think it's going to be close.
All right, I think the more interesting conversation, honestly, is who's going to be the better sophomore quarterback. Now,
Who
obviously, dude, I
who
don't know
are
why I'm having such a hard time talking today. Obviously, not it's not like a very fair thing. Sophomore slumps is a very real thing. It's not a curse or anything. It's just, hey, we have NFL tape now on this. We have how their coaches like to play, how their O line is, how their team is really. So I found a ranking here for teams last year, but I think that's pretty recent. So I'm gonna read it in this ranking. It's not my ranking. It's yardbarker.com's ranking. So we've got C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Aiden O'Connell, Tyson Bagent. I don't know. Tommy DeVito, Dorian Thompson Robinson, Jaron Hall, Sean Clifford, Clayton Toon. I don't even know if Jaron Hall. I think Jaron Hall got hurt, didn't he? No, he's okay. So Jaron Hall's not even on the Vikings anymore.
Well, he's not even. Yeah,
You're cutting out there, buddy.
yeah. I mean,
We didn't hear a word you just said.
saying that, yeah, just saying, yeah. Darnold's starting, so
Yeah.
he's out.
So yeah, I guess from that list, it'd be between C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Aiden O'Connell. Um,
Well,
yeah, it would just be those.
well, I would say just from it depends how you want to look at it. I think CJ Stroud's proven he's been the best quarterback in that group. But as far as improvement, I think it's got to be Bryce Young. He's got he's got he can only go up from where he's been the last year. He had a terrible rookie season. Not most of it not his fault. He didn't really have anything around him, and no line protection. Not really any receivers. So but you would think him being a Heisman winner, a former number one pick, um, if he's gonna actually pop in this league, this has to be it. So, yeah, I think Stroud's the best quarterback. Just from everything that we've seen, I think the one that is going to improve the most has to be Bryce Young. So,
I will definitely agree that C.J. Stroud is looking to be the best sophomore quarterback. I think there's arguments to be made that he might be one of not the best, but one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now, especially considering how Houston has improved. Depending on how you view Stephon Diggs, obviously. Um, I'm really excited to watch Anthony Richardson play, and I think this is going to be a make it or break it year for Anthony Richardson, both figuratively and literally. I think if he gets hurt, a season-ending injury again, I think it's just going to be another RG3 type of situation. Um,
At
you
least
know,
RG3 made it through a season. Shit.
yeah, but
Not trying to. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're going to be a mobile quarterback, that's fine. Mobile quarterbacks are wildly successful. You could look at Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, who are more of a dual threat, or you can look at Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, who are more running, um, like more focused on running. But obviously, both of them can still throw. And Anthony Richardson seems like he's more of at least from the 4 games that he's played, he seems like he's more willing to be a pocket passer who can run versus a running quarterback who will throw.
Yeah. Got. I didn't know if you're gonna complete it with something else.
Um,
Um.
no, I think it's probably not fair to say I think Anthony Richardson is going to show the biggest growth because obviously he plays 5 games. That's a vastly huge growth. I don't think Bryce Young. I don't think Carolina has improved enough to give Bryce Young a fair chance.
Yeah, I would agree that Anthony Richardson's problem is he's definitely the biggest wild card out of the group of sophomore quarterbacks. He could have the best year out of all of them. I've seen articles like teams are scared to death, quote unquote, about Anthony Richardson this season because of the unknown and of what he could potentially bring to the table. So I do think he um, is the biggest wild card, and yeah, he could also have the biggest improvement um, as well. So
Honestly,
yeah,
I'm
Colts
probably
definitely got a
most
chance.
most excited to watch Will Levis of those 5 because I think now the Titans have had such a one-dimensional team of let's rely on Derrick Henry, and now not to take anything away from Tony Pollard, but I think it has to be Will Levis if the Titans want to do anything besides last in their division again. It has to be on Will Levis. And let's be honest, he didn't look super strong last year. I think he went 3-6. Yeah, he went 3-6 last year. 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Um, but it's gonna have to fall on him, right? You can't rely on King Henry blitzing through blitzing through the other team.
No, I would agree. And he had a couple really good games. Then he just wasn't consistent. He'd have like a really good game where you're like, wow, Will Levis could be the future of the team, and then he'd be have a really bad game. You're like, I'm not sure. So they're definitely gonna give him a chance. And who's the head coach now for the Titans? Actually, I forgot. It's not Vrabel anymore. It's
Let's see.
who is it?
That is not helpful. I just googled. It's Brian Callahan.
Brian Callahan.
It
Wasn't he
sounds
like an
familiar, doesn't it?
wasn't he like an O line coach or something?
He was the offensive coordinator for the Bengals.
Oh, the Bengals. Okay, that totally slipped under the radar for me. But he's an OC, so to have an OC as your head coach and to be working with a young quarterback like that, you would think there'd be improvement. So I think they're going to give it a whirl, and at least try to get through a third, like half the season, and see where they stand, and kind of go from there. But The more we talk about it, the more I do think there is a potential for a few quarterbacks, if it goes their direction, to have some good improvement. It could be a Bryce Young, could be an Anthony Richardson, could be a Will Levis. Like they all have, um, a potential for a better season this season. So
I will say, I think Will Levis has. I'm gonna say it, and then I'm going to elaborate because it's gonna sound insane. Okay, I think Will Levis has the best quarterback for relative to his draft pick.
yeah, no, for sure. Because what was he drafted again? It was like second round.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was second round. I mean, people
Oh,
thought he was gonna be a first round, and he
well,
ended
actually,
up dropping down.
could have been a little later. Actually, what was it? Um,
He was 33. He was first. He was first in the
oh, it
second
was
round.
second. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Also, I've been trying to stay away from talking about the personalities of football players because I don't like. There's the obvious, bad eggs like Tyreek Hill or Deshaun Watson. Um, I try not to talk too much about their personalities if I can avoid it because I don't know the personalities or things of every single NFL player out there. But I will say Will Levis um, earned a lot of my respect for whatever that's worth. And it's not worth much. When he got invited to show up to day one, and they kept cutting to him as teams just kept picking other players, and then I don't remember who the 32nd pick was in the NFL draft in 2023, but it was very obvious that it was pretty obvious early on that Levis wasn't going to go in the first round when when the Colts didn't take him because that's who he was linked to, the latest team that he was linked to. And he was just kind of a good sport about it, at least on the public front. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like that's got to be really embarrassing when you think that, when people are talking about you as a top 5 prospect, and then you don't even get drafted on day one. That's got to be rough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's basically what happened to Aaron Rodgers too, which I mean, he didn't get drafted like day two or anything. But yeah, anyone who has to wait a while, and if you think you're going to get drafted one, say top five or something, and you get drafted in the 20s or in day two, like that's got to be like, yeah, embarrassing. I mean, in a way, I mean, you shouldn't have to say that's embarrassing because you're still getting drafted to the NFL. You're like, still a top tier pick, all that stuff. But when the cameras are on you and they're just following you around and they're running ESPN, like videos about like how they expected you to go, a certain pick and you didn't. Oh, is there an issue with them? What are the red flags? Why isn't he going as high as he did? Like, what did they, get from the interview process that made him go this low? Like, it's almost like an
Dude,
attack of your character. So,
have you ever seen the movie Draft Day? With I think it's Kevin Costner, one of the Kevins.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I've seen like it's one of those movies where I've kind of just seen it around like on TBS, like snippets of it and stuff. But
I
yeah, I
just
definitely know about it.
I just think of the scene at the end where everyone thinks he's going to draft that quarterback, and then he doesn't want to because he really likes their starting quarterback already, and he's like a nice guy, and he's like calling around, and they're like, "Well, he threw a birthday party and nobody showed up," and he's like, "Why did nobody show up?" And he just doesn't draft him, and every other team who was like looking, I was like, "Why didn't they sign him? Why did no one show up to his birthday?"
Oh yeah,
Yes. Why did no one show up to Will Levis's birthday, man? Um,
that's it's a sad life. Sad. I mean, yeah, I guess drafted second round, he loses his girlfriend. He's still working out. He's still trying to be all jacked up and stuff. But hey,
just
I mean,
it's just real life Blue Mountain State, man.
exactly. He'd be perfect for that show. Yeah.
Dude, he's like ruggedly handsome. He's not like Jimmy G handsome, but I
No one's as
digress.
handsome as Jimmy G.
No. So you mentioned Aaron Rodgers, and okay, let's talk about who's gonna be the best quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, we can move on. I don't think there's any question that Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. Um, so I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers specifically. Is he gonna do good next year? Is he gonna at least surprise me? I think a lot of people expect Aaron Rodgers to do well. At least if my ESPN pick'em's percentages is to be believed. How many people are picking the Jets? Oh no, okay, never mind. The Jets are going against the 49ers, so it's kind of a rough game. But what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers, man? He hasn't played since he got injured last year. He didn't play any preseason snaps, as far as I can tell. He's been
No,
in practices, but
no, I think I think it's going to be a bounce back year. I'm going to roll with all the Jets fans who say it's going to be a good year for the Jets. I mean, it's you know, put up or shut up for Aaron Rodgers this year. I mean, if he goes down again, or if he has either a bad season or has like, not even necessarily like a season-ending injury, but just maybe just an injury that keeps him out of the sideline for a couple of weeks or a few weeks, and he's not available and those kinds of things. Um, I think that's it for him. I don't think he's going to get really another chance. Like, it's just the writing from the wall kind of thing. So, I think he knows that, and I think he's going to do everything that he can to have the best season possible. And I'm gonna just say I think that the Jets are gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna be like a wild card probably. Could be the seventh seed, but I think they're gonna be one of my playoff teams. So I
yeah,
think I think the Jets are gonna bounce back this year.
normally I like to do where we um do predictions for who's going to make the playoffs and all that stuff. And maybe if you have time, we'll do that. I know you're having the Jet here pretty soon. No pun intended. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a breakout year or not. There's definitely a lot of bias on my end. I don't like Aaron Rodgers, so it's hard for me to speak objectively. I will say the Jets are probably one of the better teams to help him succeed. They've got. I don't want to just keep naming names, but the Jets have pretty good tools. I don't think they're number one in any metric. I don't think they have the best wide receiver, the best running back, the best corner, maybe the best cornerback. But like they're not. They don't have the number one defense. I don't think they're gonna have the number one offense. But do I think that they are good enough to make it to the playoffs? I think I think it's hard. I don't know because they're certainly. I don't think they're going to be good enough to overcome the Bills or the Dolphins, and we'll talk. I'll talk more about that in a moment. So really, is are the Jets good enough to be one of the two spots? Because I think the Bills and Dolphins both make it to the playoffs. Are they good enough to take one of the two wild card spots? And really, they're competing against a lot of the AFC South minus the Titans. Unfortunately, I don't think the Titans are going to make it to the playoffs. And then they're going to be competing with most of the AFC North, and then with the Chargers as well. So I don't know if I think that they're going to make it to the playoffs, but I will also say every time I think Green Bay when they had Aaron Rodgers was not going to make it to the playoffs because they're slumping, they always somehow find a way. So I don't know if the AFC is necessarily harder to get into the playoffs than the NFC, but I think the AFC has a lot more middling teams, which makes it hard to make it to the playoffs if you're not, you know, perfect.
No,
Let's
I
just
think
go
it's
with that.
definitely it's definitely harder in the AFC. I feel like for sure. The NFC has some really good teams at the top, but it kind of gets thin really quick. The AFC, I think, is definitely more depth. So it'll be hard. Like I said, they're not going to win the division. I think it's still going to be the Bills, the Dolphins, to be honest. But I think Rodgers. I'm not saying he's going to be MVP 2021 season Rodgers or anything like that, but can he be a solid Aaron Rodgers? I think he still got it. So I'm gonna roll with it. That's the theme of the day is rolling with it. So I'm gonna roll with
So
Rodgers with the Jets.
so I know you didn't come up with your 32 team tier list yet. I don't really want to sit here and just read out 32 team names. Um, so I'm just gonna go ahead. This year I ranked my teams with some coworkers and we compared notes and we split it up into four different tiers. So I have the great, the elite teams, the good teams, middling teams, and then just straight up bad teams are my four. And I'll see if I can set up a quick website to post that and a few other things that we're gonna be talking about. Um, at the very least, it's gonna be down in the description. I believe this episode's gonna get uploaded to YouTube and hopefully on Spotify, but Spotify, the site that I used to upload to Spotify with podcast, recently changed, and I didn't take the time to learn how to do that. So we'll see if it's on Spotify. I don't know. So with my great teams, I think for the most part my tier list is pretty inoffensive, but I know I've got a few. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at my tier lists, but I know that there's a few there that's gonna make you really upset. Um, and I don't quite want to talk about that yet. Um, what I want to talk about specifically is in my initial tier list, I had the 49ers as a number one team and the Chiefs as number two. And I think that's very controversial. I would assume that you
No,
disagree.
you said 49ers as your number one team.
Yeah, and Chiefs number
I don't
two.
think, no, I don't think that's controversial at all. I mean, I think it can go either way. The 49ers are like reloaded this season. Um, I could easily see honestly a Super Bowl. I don't know exactly what my pick is yet. I'm just saying I could easily see a Super Bowl rematch between those two teams, and I could still see the 49ers, winning it. I mean, I know they're getting older year by year, but they still got the main pieces back. And wild card of the scenario, did you hear like that the rookie receiver like got like
Shot.
mugged and like
Yeah,
shot or something like in
yeah.
San Francisco. Um, yeah, Union Square. I don't know if you've been to Union Square, but I've been there. I was there last year. I love San Francisco, but like, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's a
certain spots like
it's a rough part of
are
town.
very sketchy. Yeah, I mean, you got to know the right spots. Anyway,
No, that's funny.
I
That's
think.
basically the same exact team as last year.
What do you mean?
The 49ers. Like they don't. I don't think they're starting a single rookie this year.
Oh, yeah. I don't think so. As far as I know, I don't think so either. But I think that whole factor with him getting shot, I've seen reports where it's kind of like galvanized the team, and it apparently made like Trent Williams like sign his contract like earlier and stuff just to because he was like I need to like get on my team and like get the stuff figured out and get it together and stuff
Yeah,
like so we'll see.
I will say because this seems like it's going to be a really if if these big contracts, right, the Brandon Ayuk contract, Trent Williams contract, all that stuff, if those didn't get signed, I think there's a very good chance that this team doesn't look very good because we have seen time and time again that when it's a contract year, you don't tend to play as well because you're focused on the contract, you're focused on, providing for yourself as well as for your team. And there's just a whole lot of distractions that I think the 49ers were able to avoid because they were able to get, these major contracts signed.
Yeah.
Um, my thing, so when I was telling these things to coworkers, they don't have 49ers even at number two. They have them at like 3 and 5 and stuff, which I think is fair. I see not only just from coworkers, but from articles online as well, talking about how Brock Purdy is not a great quarterback. He's just got a good team around him. And I tend to agree. However, if you remember, because if you listen to this podcast, you know that I'm a huge Brock Purdy supporter. You know I love Brock Purdy. Um, and I was pretty vocal about it, especially towards the end of the year, where I thought Brock Purdy. I wasn't so in the Brock Purdy train that I thought he was the best quarterback. I don't even know if I would put him at top 5 quarterbacks, but I would say he was good, at least top 10. Um,
Agreed.
but the off season is long. It's been a while since I've watched the 49ers play, and those thoughts just start creeping back in of Brock Purdy isn't that guy. He's just got a really talented team. You put anyone in the 49ers and they'll succeed, which we know is false because Trey Lance had the same exact team minus
Exactly.
CMC and didn't do well. And when
Exactly.
Brock Purdy got hurt, and I think it was who was Trey Lance came in, not Trey Lance. Who was their backup quarterback last year when Purdy got hurt?
Uh,
Was it Darnold?
I don't know actually. Who was it?
I in
Well,
either
well,
case,
Purdy. Well, I don't think Purdy got hurt. Did he get hurt last year? I thought it was like 2 years ago when he got hurt.
he got no, it was 2 years ago in the playoffs. You're right.
Yeah, I don't remember who came in. Um, but no, your point is definitely accurate. Like it's
Like
not
yeah,
even Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard. Like it, they played fine, but they weren't like rock stars in this offense.
excuse me, beat hard is how I think you pronounce his name.
Exactly.
But yeah, so
My fault.
so these are the same exact things that people were saying about the 49ers last year. Of Brock Purdy's not that guy. They're getting older. Debo Samuel's is not going to be as effective. Um, Brandon Ayuk is overrated. Blah 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 blah. And I don't think anything's changed for the 49ers. I will say the same thing I said last year of I think the 49ers are on a very limited timetable. I think getting these contracts signed extends that timetable quite a bit. Um, but we've also seen with Peyton Manning, we've seen it with Brett Favre. Um, we kind of saw it to a very lesser extreme with Tom Brady that when you fall off, it's not a gradual decline. It's just 1 year you're winning the Super Bowl, and then next year you're you're barely qualifying for the playoffs. I know Peyton Manning didn't actually. I know that's not like the perfect analogy. Brett Favre never won the Super Bowl after Green Bay. Peyton Manning retired after his Super Bowl win and looked bad his Super Bowl win, and Tom Brady still made it to the playoffs. So you know, but point being is like we see fast declines for players. Deshaun Jackson went from being this great and fast wide receiver to the next year being demoted down to the second string wide receiver. So, the 49ers are still this huge question mark in terms of, yes, they are one of the older teams in the NFL, but they still have a very talented young core. I think Brock Purdy, not CMC, Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk are still a very talented team. And I forget who their backup running back is. Let me look it up real fast. It is Jordan Mason. Never mind. I thought it was someone else. So ignore everything I just said. Scratch it off the
Uh,
ballot.
well, I think I agree though. I think the 49ers, they've gotten older, but they've also gotten wiser at the same time. And no one on that team is like, ridiculously old where it's like they're out of their prime or anything. Except for Trent Williams. I mean, but he's kind of an anomaly. He's like 36 and he's still like the best left tackle in the league.
Yeah,
But
but
I
I
mean,
mean, like,
yeah,
Debo's not like super old.
he's like 27, 28. McCaffrey's 27, 28.
Those are like,
Kittle's 30. But yeah, he's no one's like,
yeah,
they're not all like 34, 35,
yeah, that's fair.
36,
And
like
I,
about to just leave the league or something.
and I will say, I think of the people that we just named, Debo, CMC, and Kittle.
And
Obviously, I
Ayuk too is
think
like mid 20s.
CMC. What?
Yeah. And Ayuk too is like mid 20s. He's like he
Yeah,
can
Ayuk
never.
is pretty young.
Yeah.
I think. Oh no, he's 26. He's not as young as I thought. I thought he was like
Yeah.
24, 25. I guess I shouldn't have though because he's signing off of his rookie contract. Anyway,
Right, right.
I think obviously CMC is the most at threat of retiring just because he's a running back. We don't see a
Yeah,
lot of great running backs past 30. He's
right.
he is a more of an agile running back, which I think is gonna uh, make it a little bit better for him. Kittle is actually the one where I was watching him last year and thought, man, he is slowing down just a little bit, but
Well,
I
if you would have told me last year that they would have kept that core group of Kittle, Trent Williams, and like Debo, um, I would have been surprised. I thought one of them, or Ayuk, if you want to add Ayuk to that too, I guess. I thought at least one of them would have been traded or something like that.
yeah,
Um,
I thought Ayuk or Kittle was gonna leave.
but they're all still here. So yeah, which gives me more reason to like the Niners. Like I said, they're not super old, but they've got one more year under their belt of just learning, and I think it's gonna do well for them this season. So
But with all that being said, I did have to eventually concede and put the Chiefs as number one. There's a lot
after
of
all that,
yeah because okay so there's a lot to be said of like just because you win the Super Bowl doesn't necessarily mean that you're the best team, right? So let's take the Cowboys as an example of the Cowboys are pretty consistently in the regular season like a top three, top four team. Um, and then maybe it's Dak Prescott choking the playoffs. Maybe it's just the Cowboys getting unlucky with matchups. Whatever the case may be, there's usually an argument to be made of okay, the Super Bowl winner is the number two team, not the number one team. You can't make that argument with the 49ers and the Chiefs. They literally won against each other in the play or in the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs won. Granted, I don't think they should have won, and I think it was a huge coaching miscall on the 49ers side. But it's really hard for me to justify putting the Chiefs underneath the 49ers when in a head to head matchup, the Chiefs beat the 49ers. The 49ers have stayed exactly the same as they were last year, as we talked about, and I think the Chiefs has gotten better.
I think they've upgraded in receiver. I think. So I'll give them that. They did like they are gonna let go of Ray Rice, not Ray Rice, Rasheed Rice. Um, so that kind of brings it down a little bit. But I do think Kelsey, I did feel like at times last year, I don't know, like I don't know if he can put up a string of a full season of being really good, Travis Kelsey, because he has some really big stinkers last year in the regular season.
Yeah,
He did show up for the playoffs, so that's my concern this year. Is Kelsey going to be able to give you a legit, whatever 16, 17-ish games in the regular season to put you in a good position?
yeah, I'll say like Kelsey, huge question mark. I thought he was going to retire with his brother, but he's still going to play. But they got Jared Wiley, who looked pretty good. They have Xavier Worthy, and like I guess the big thing is that their wide receivers are full of a lot of question marks, right? Like they have Rasheed Rice, and they have Juju Smith Schuster, who are both pretty like established, I guess, at this point.
They got rid of Tony too, Kadarius Tony.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say that Kadarius Toney was a huge. I would say Kadarius Toney was probably the reason why the Chiefs lost most of their games last year.
Yeah, there's a liability, but hey, one less person though. So
Yeah. So I will. Yeah, I guess saying that the Chiefs are an upgrade is obviously subjective because they have so many newer players on their team. But I think that that's I think that that's still. I think that they most likely got better. But the big question is, are they going to three-peat? Because if they do, they would be one of three teams to three-peat, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
who to three peats? I don't think anyone's three peated.
I thought Patriots three-peated.
No, they won 3 out of 4. I think this would be the
Oh,
first three-peat ever if they did it. I don't
the
think any NFL team is three-peated.
okay, because I thought Cowboys also three-peated. Not Cowboys.
They also won like 3 out of 4, I think.
What about the Steelers?
They were kind of scattered throughout the
Oh,
70s.
okay.
So yeah, no, I think no, this would be. I think that is why Kelsey stayed to make history. To be honest,
Three
like
to three-peat.
yeah, no, honestly, yeah, to give it a shot, be the only team that's ever done it. So I think it's a tough task. I mean, just think of all the players the core players, coaches that have been there since that Super Bowl 2 years ago. That's a lot of like playing time. Tough on the body, tough on the mind.
And
Even though you're going through an off season and everything.
they went
Um,
through losing Tyreek Hill, which should have been the killing blow.
for sure, no, 100%. So I think it's going to be really tough. I would say I would put my money on it. I would say no. I think a lot of things would have to go their way.
I
And things are coming back. Like Burrow's coming back. The Bills, are still going to be solid. Jets, Rogers is back. The Dolphins are still solid. So it's going to be a tough. It's going to be tough to get to the AFC, and I think if it was like a rematch with the 49ers, that'd be really tough to beat that team back to back. If they got to that point, the Niners would be just like fired up for that game like no other. So
I'm
um,
and I'm gonna
yeah, I
counter.
would say no. Yeah,
I'm gonna counter with I think if the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl, no matter what of the 16 teams they go against, I think the Chiefs will win. But I don't necessarily think that they're going to get to the Super Bowl because we've seen ever since they've lost Tyreek Hill that all their playoff games have been really close. Not all of them. I think they smoked Miami this past year in the playoffs. But
yeah,
besides that, they've had very close games. I disagree with your take on the Dolphins, if only because the Dolphins have since getting Mike McDaniels, which I think is just last year. But the Dolphins for the past 2 or 3 years have not done well in December and have not done well in the cold. Um, but I guess with that being said, though, there's not really a guarantee that the Chiefs are going to be the number 1 or number 2 seed this year, because again, the Chiefs are not, they don't dominate in the regular season, and I would go so far as to say they don't even dominate in the playoffs. All of their games feel like they're really close. A lot of their games just feel really losable. I was talking to people earlier today about how, you know, because they were saying like, no, the Chiefs, because we were doing predictions, and I predicted that the Chiefs are going to lose against the Ravens. Because the Chiefs always come out of the gates really slow, and we can see that because for the past 2 years when we had Russell Wilson, it was like week 9 or week 10 where the Broncos still had a statistical chance of taking first seed away from KC, and not just a statistical, oh, if we win every game and KC loses every game. At one point last year, if we had won one game and KC had lost one game, we would have been first in the division. That's how close it was at like week 12. And nobody thought the
yeah,
Broncos were a good team last year. So
I
I
agree.
I think it's going to be really hard for the Chiefs to have that same level of success. It's been really hard for them to stay consistently good, like play to play. It doesn't always feel that way because you see their successes of making it to every single Super Bowl since Patrick Mahomes has been in the NFL, or has been starting in the NFL, I should say. Um, they've won all but one of their Super Bowls. Uh, oh no, he missed the Super Bowl 1 year. That's right. The Bengals beat him. He's only played one playoff game, not in KC. So it looks like they have this really impressive resume, but then you watch the games, and KC is not as dominating as they're not as dominating as they look on paper. Is my take. But with that being said, I still think Chiefs deserve number 1. It's their number 1 spot to
Yeah,
lose. I
It's
like the
fair.
49ers better. In my heart of hearts, the 49ers are number one team. But in my heart of hearts, the Broncos are going to go to the Super Bowl every year. So I'm not
Well,
I'm
I,
not the
I
most
will
unbiased person.
I will just say just real quick, last thing on your list. You have the great, good, mid, and bad tiers, right? I would say I put the Broncos either the upper mid, lower good, personally. Um, we did like how many games did we win last year? Like 6 or 7,
Yeah,
something
I
like
think we're
that.
just under 500.
Yeah. I mean, if we can do that with all the turmoil that we had with Russell Wilson, not running the plays correctly and all that kind of stuff, which is very visible on TV. I was, literally screaming on the TV like he's open right in front of you. If we can get Bo Nix to just execute plays, I don't see why we couldn't get to 500. I really don't. Um, I'm liking the vibe from our group much better this year than last. I feel like it's just from what I've seen from the press conferences and the team interviews and stuff like that. It just seems like we're more gelled together. So
I
I think the Broncos are 500 this team this year
I need to
with an
see.
outside chance of making the playoffs. I'm going to say it right here, right now.
You can't be a 500 team.
I know what I'm saying. I think they have a chance to be a 500 team,
We can't be a
and
500 team.
oh, sorry, 9-8, whatever it is now. I guess my bad. Yeah, 9-8, 7, and or 8-9. Jesus, yeah, I'm just like getting all this.
I
That's stuff for the
I think
70.
there's a
Yes,
lot
nine
of
and eight, 7-9. So
I think there's a
eight and
lot of
nine.
things that make me excited about the Broncos. Namely, I think we finally have a competent head coach, which I don't think we've had since Kubiak.
Very
Um,
fair.
and I think we've done really good on trimming out players that were going to be potential issues. I'm a little sad that we got rid of Justin Simmons, which is
I know.
a huge reason of why I don't have the Broncos ranked higher. Is our defense was trash last year, and I don't think it got significantly better. Now, while our offense got better, I don't. When you look at the scores for the Broncos games last year, ignoring the Miami game, which I completely blanked out of my memory until I looked up their season last year. That still hurts. um,
Dude, I totally forgot. I totally forgot about that game.
yeah,
I,
you're
I
welcome.
totally got I totally forgot that we had 70 dropped. I was like, what Miami game? Oh my god, yeah, that game. Jesus.
But we also had 42 points scored against us by Detroit. Um, and I think a lot of our losses that looked really close, 17-22 against Houston's a pretty notable one. Um, I guess yeah, just the Houston game, right? I don't think
Yeah.
I don't really think teams are expecting the Broncos to be a high scoring team. The most points that we scored last year was 29 points. Or no, sorry, 33 points in a game that we lost against Washington Commanders. Washington has a very bad defense. Followed by Chicago Bears, we scored 31 points in that win. But I am pretty sure that game went into overtime, but I'm not entirely sure. Um, and then 29 points against Cleveland, which is probably our most impressive game. Is that Cleveland game?
Well, I just feel like okay, I know we can't really put too much, faith in preseason games, but the fact that we won all three of them this year, 34-30, 27-2, 38-12. I don't know. I think that shows that, it's something. You know, we saw, Dak Prescott, when he first got in the league, played great in the preseason. Nobody thought it was anything, and he turned out to be something, right? So I think the fact that we're actually scoring in these games and beating these teams, albeit with backups like half the time, is something. I looked at our preseason games last year just for comparison. Against the Rams, we did beat them 41-0, but the Rams are known for literally playing no one in any of their games. So I'm going to take that as a scratch. But we also lost against the Niners 21-20 and lost against the Cardinals 18-17. So just from the scores this year, I'm just liking kind of what I'm seeing. I think there's really good team chemistry, and I think that goes a long way.
I
Um, and I think competency will get us right around that 9-8 mark.
I think at my most optimistic, and I haven't looked at the Broncos schedule. I think at my most optimistic, I would put Broncos at the mid, maybe upper mid of mid. I don't want to put them at good yet.
That's fair.
I don't
I'm
think they're a
down with
top
that.
16
Just
team.
take him out of the bag.
Um so we'll see. And we'll probably do an episode, a deeper dive of the Broncos later on. Um Probably before week 4. We tend to do a retrospective on the Broncos every quarter of the year until the NFL fucked it up and made the NFL season 18 weeks, 17 games.
They
It's just
really
so much harder
can't
to
make it.
divide.
They really can't make it any longer. Like I've heard talks they might add in the game. Like,
No,
no,
I think
I'm
as
good.
much as I love football, I think
Yeah,
16 games was perfect.
I think so
17
too.
17
17
feels
made it all weird, man.
excessive.
I agree,
Um
100%.
Speaking of, when you're looking at my list, Vikings. We talked about the Vikings earlier. I think I think it's really hard when you're a team and you actively are trying to rebuild. You actively tell Kirk Cousins, hey, we are not going to resign you. We are trying to rebuild our team, and we do not think that you fit into this rebuild because you are too expensive. And so you let Kirk Cousins go. And then you see a quarterback that you really like. You hear rumors that the Broncos are looking at this guy. And I think for as many faults as the Broncos has, Sean Payton is not one of them. And Sean Payton is still a revered coach in the NFL. And you hear rumors that he's looking at this quarterback from Michigan named J.J. McCarthy. And John Harbaugh, not John, what's his brother's name?
Jim, wait,
No, yeah, I'm thinking of John, sorry.
yeah,
No, Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh,
yeah.
is speaking highly of this quarterback that he coached in college. Obviously he can't take him, but, he really likes him. If he could, he would take him. And so you go, man, we really want this guy. And so you trade up above Sean Payton to try sniping this guy, trading away your second round pick. So you no longer have your second round pick. And then you go into your third round. It's whatever. Or I guess they had 2 first round picks. I forgot that they got one from Jacksonville. Um, so you get your 2 first round picks, and you're feeling really good about it. And then you don't get a pick day 2. You know, second round goes by, you don't get anyone. Third round goes by, you don't get anyone. And fourth round comes by, and you see a cornerback who's doing really well, and so you sign him, and it's your third pick at the fourth round. And then tragically, your fourth round rookie cornerback dies in a car crash before you can even play a single game of football for your team. And you just roll with the punches. You just go, all right, that's a tragic loss. The world moves on, and we need to prepare for the rest of the season. Not to make light of Kyrie Jackson's injury. Which, fun fact, by the way, Kyrie Jackson was one of Bo Nix's favorite targets, or not him, but his brother. It's one of his favorite targets to throw to in college. But so you're trying to overcome this tragic loss. Your rebuild is already going poorly because you weren't able to draft on round 2 or round 3, and your round 4 pick just passed away. You get into your first game, your first preseason game. You want to see how your brand new, bright and shining quarterback does, and he gets injured. All of a sudden, your rebuild year consists of a single first round pick and then nothing else until round 5. And not only that, or sorry, not until round 6. They didn't even get a round 5 pick. You don't get anyone until round 6 in the NFL draft. But not only that, you traded away the quarterback that you signed, expecting him to help you transition to a new quarterback. And on top of that, the second best receiver that you have gets hurt. Because I think what's his name? Who got hurt? Who else got hurt on the Vikings? Hawkinson.
Hawkinson. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, so on top of that, Hawkinson gets hurt too. So now they've got Sam Darnold backed up by Nick Mullins and Brett Rippin of all people. And the only thing that they have going for them is Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, who we've seen time and time again, doesn't matter how good of a wide receiver you are, you're only as good as your quarterback can throw. And we have not seen Sam Darnold throw well.
Yeah, well, I mean, good that they got him though. After JJ went down,
Also,
they
it
would have had
was Sam Darnold.
no options.
It was Sam Darnold that played for Brock Purdy last year.
Oh, that was it. You're right. Okay, yeah,
But
that rings a bell.
But yeah, so all of that to say, I don't think the Vikings are going to do well this year. I have the Vikings above the Commanders, Cardinals, Giants, Patriots, and Panthers. I think it's very easy to say that the Patriots are going to be one of the worst, if not the worst team. They completely rebuilt their entire organization, really. Excuse me. Firing Bill Belichick, not firing, but Bill Belichick leaving. I think their entire coaching staff was replaced. You get rid of Mac Jones, who was supposed to be your future. You get rid of Bailey Zappi. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did.
Boom. You get rid of Bailey Zappi, who, wasn't going to be an elite quarterback, but he looked pretty good. The Patriots really have no one, I think, of note on their team. They might have a few here and there. But I still have the Vikings above those kinds of teams, which I think is insane to me. But I think there's a pretty, even in my ranking of Raiders, Broncos, Vikings, and then all the other teams, I think there's a pretty big gap between the Broncos and the Vikings.
Yeah, Vikings are not. I would rank the Commanders up a little higher too. And you have the Vikings right above them, but
we'll see. We'll see how their new quarterback does.
But yeah, no, I don't really disagree with much on that.
One of my friends is a Vikings fan. So we've been talking a lot about the Vikings. I want to talk about that. We've been going at it for over an hour now. So I want to combine our overrated, underrated sleeper picks / hot takes. And actually, I don't know if you're going anywhere after this. If you can type up your hot takes after you give them to me. Real fast, I want to hear your 14 teams going to the playoffs. I can go first if you need a little bit of time to think.
Yeah, go first real quick.
All right, division leaders, I've got the Bills, I've got the Chiefs, I've got the Bengals, and I've got the Texans. From there, I think I've got Dolphins, I've got Ravens, and I've got maybe a controversial pick here. I've got the Colts.
I like it.
I don't know. The Jaguars are one of those teams I think are very underwhelming. They just don't have like a lot of wow factor, I guess. I don't know. NFC East, I've got Cowboys. I've got 49ers. Obviously, this isn't in any particular order. I'm just going down the list that I have here. So I've got Cowboys for the East. I've got Niners for the West. I've got Lions, and I've got the Falcons for the South. My wild card teams being Rams, Bears, Packers.
Oh wow, interesting.
And I think that's going to lead to probably a pretty big fight between us.
Well, you got three from the NFC North. I was like, wow, okay, okay. I'll run through mine real quick. So I think AFC East. I'm gonna just keep it with the Bills. North, I'm gonna go revenge Burrow. So I'm gonna go Bengals like you did. South, I'm also gonna go with the Texans. I'm not digging Trevor Lawrence. You know, he's got to prove me wrong first before I put him in that kind of category. But I like how CJ Stroud ended last year. So Texans for the AFC South, the West, unfortunately the Chiefs, and then for the three wild cards, that's where it gets tough. I'm gonna go um, Ravens, and then I'm gonna go with. I really want to say Broncos so bad, but I'm gonna say no to the Broncos. I'm not gonna jinx him. I'm gonna go with the Ravens, and then we'll go with the Dolphins, and then I think I'm gonna throw in the Jets. And then for the NFC, we'll go Cowboys for the East. We'll go Lions for the North. We'll go Falcons for the South. We'll go Niners for the West. And three wild cards. This is tough too. I like your Bears pick actually. I'm gonna go Bears as one of the wild cards. Um, and then I'm gonna go Rams. You know what? I don't hate your picks because yeah, I mean honestly, I don't know who else I'd put over the Packers. The Buccaneers, I'm not feeling it. The Saints, no. Panthers, no. Maybe one of the East teams surprises with the Commanders or the Eagles. But you know what? I'm gonna go with the same three teams as you did. Go Bears, Packers, and Rams
So
as
the
a
only
wild card.
difference is you think Aaron Rodgers is going to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
And
the
I don't
biggest
I
one.
don't hate that. I can see the Jets or the Colts. I think the Colts are my sleeper pick. I think um I I think the Colts are going to surprise us. For the AFC, I think the Colts are going to be the surprise team of the AFC. I'm not considering the Jets necessarily a surprise team because I think a lot of people have the Jets higher up than I do. Um, the NFC, I think I think the Rams are always a sleeper pick because of just how old their team is. Um, but yeah, it'd be for me. It'd be either the Rams or the Bears are my sleeper picks of the NFC.
No, we actually got a pretty similar. Yeah, we literally a very similar list. I'm actually surprised how. I was surprised we both went with the Bears. I was thinking Bears too, but I was surprised you also went with the Bears with
So
Caleb. But I don't think it's that unreasonable for, especially with NFC being, as we said earlier, not very stacked at all. After the top couple teams, it's not unreasonable for us to think that he can definitely make the playoffs.
yeah, because I think really the wild card spots are maybe like I don't think anyone from the South has really stepped up enough to take a wild card spot. I've been pleasantly surprised with Baker Mayfield last year. So I'll go ahead and say him. The North. Obviously, we talked about the North being pretty strong, so I won't talk too much about that. And then on the West, I think the Cardinals are just on a huge downward trend. And I think they're going to stay on this downward trend the longer they stay with Kyler Murray. Um, so really, for the NFC West, it's really the Rams or the Seahawks, and I don't think the Seahawks are. I don't think they're it. And I know a lot of what I'm saying probably contradicts a little bit of my my tier list, but my tier list is just on how strong I think the team is, not necessarily how consistent they will end up being. I think the Seahawks are actually the opposite of that, where they're a very consistent team. I just don't think their ceiling is very high. But and the thing that I thought you were going to disagree with the most is I think the Eagles are not a very good team this year.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I don't. I mean, I think that might be okay. I don't think they'd be like a terrible team or anything, but I don't really see them making the playoffs. I think, yeah, I'm not getting it with the Eagles. I
Dude,
think
I
the
swear,
loss,
my
the loss of
coworkers are
Shane. What's that
driving me crazy.
with the Eagles?
Yeah, dude, they all have the Eagles like top 5, top 10.
No, after they lost Shane Steichen, um, it was clear that they were not as good last year. He was definitely the one kind of just making sure that they were a really good team, which gives it kind of goes more to your point with the Colts. Him being the head coach of the Colts, I think they're going to be a pretty good team too. Um, but I think the Eagles losing him has made a huge difference, and they're older now. Their defense is not as good as it was 2 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. They're not as balanced. Yeah, I don't see them making the playoffs either. We're definitely on the same page when it comes to that.
And I say this a lot of one-dimensional teams, right? And it's not that one-dimensional teams can't be good. The Bills are a very one-dimensional team. The Bills live or die based on how many interceptions Josh Allen decides to throw that game. They don't have a running game. They don't really have a defense. Um, and I think the Eagles are very similar in the sense that a lot of the Eagles, power, a lot of their Eagles, when they look good in the last 2 years, was because Jalen Hurts was kind of this X factor of is he going to run or is he going to throw? And it's more teams kind of understood he's not really going to throw the ball. He's going to try to run it. And it's more teams understood, hey, this is a team that plays for 4 downs, not 3. Really slow them down. I think the loss of Jason Kelsey is huge for the Eagles because
Oh
now all of
yeah,
a sudden they have to play for 3 downs. They cannot play for the tush push anymore because despite everyone saying that the tush push was easy and every team could do it, we have seen other teams try to do it and get hurt. Like there's a
yeah.
reason why the Eagles are the only teams to do it.
Jason Kelsey is literally one of the best centers ever. And him combined with Hurts, with just how strong they are, like literally just their legs, right?
Yeah, I mean
Like
Hurts
that.
benches as much as a linebacker. I feel like.
No, dude, Hurts is probably like one of the top three strongest people on that team. He used to be like a power lifter and stuff like that. So
So
um, that combo is the reason why it worked. Without Kelsey and only having half that equation, whatever center they have this year, who knows who it is? Like it's not going to work. So yeah,
yeah, and so I think all of that the Eagles have just gotten worse as a team, and I think people forget how bad the Eagles ended last season. Like obviously they got embarrassed by the Buccaneers. Um but they lost to the Giants. They lost to the Cardinals in December. Um they almost lost to the Giants a second time. Lost to the Seahawks. Like these are not good losses, right? Like yeah, losing to the Cowboys is fine. Losing to the 49ers is fine. Those are two really good teams, especially in the regular season. Barely edging out the Bills is fine. But I think that was when the Bills were at their low point. They even lost to the Broncos, so grain of salt there. But the Eagles did not have a good finish to their season. And I think when you take a closer look at the games that they did win, a lot of them were really ugly wins. And they didn't improve as a team this year. And
oh yeah,
maybe they will. They have Saquon Barkley now, which that's cool. Um, AJ Brown, he's still good. Jalen Hurts. I mean, I was saying since last year, I don't think Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. Although I was even saying even last year when they were 6-0 that I did not think that the Eagles were a good team last year. So maybe I just hate the
yeah.
Eagles.
No,
I
I
ended up
mean
being
you're right.
right, but
Yeah, I mean you stuck to it. I mean, I still think it's still somewhere in between. Personally, they're not that great team that I guess all your coworkers kind of is like a top five team. I also don't think they're like that bad either. I think they're a solid, all right NFL team, but they're missing pieces. Like I said, defense not as good as it was. They've lost people to gotten older. Offense, you know, OC's been gone. Sirianni is not the solution for that. Like, yeah, yeah. I think the Eagles are. I would be surprised if they made the playoffs. Personally,
All right, so I think one of the, if we had people who listen to our show, honestly, this is just an excuse for Nate and I to hang out with each other once a week. Otherwise, we never fucking talk. Hey, that's my first f bomb this entire episode. I'm proud of us. I'm proud of me. All right,
right.
I think one of the hallmarks of this show, way back when we were doing this, recording it off of Skype and Audacity, is we always have hot takes, and this might be a hot take. I think I have hotter takes than you. I think you're pretty mild.
Yeah, probably
You're like, you're like honey barbecue, and I'm uh
like
mango
ghost pepper.
habanero.
Yeah.
Yeah, ghost pepper. So I wanna this year I kind of want to put a focus on our hot takes. Um, and so I want you to send me what your hot takes are later. Or if I remember to, I'll write them down as you're saying them to me. I want to know. Give me a number of hot takes that you want to give me right now, and I will spit out that many hot takes for you these are not hot takes for the sake of being hot takes. I am not pulling a Stephen A. Smith and just trying to say stuff to get people mad, which I have
Do
been
you
known to
want
do in the past. But
definitely,
these are things
definitely.
that I wholeheartedly believe is going to happen this year. Some are spicier than others, but I want to know what your how many hot takes you want me to give you this year, right now.
You just want to know a number?
Yeah,
I think just give me three. I think three's a good
3.
number. Yeah.
All right, I need to think of a third one. I've got 2 right off the bat. I
Okay.
was I was trying to think of 5.
I think
Um,
three is good.
all right, I'll give you the first 2 that I have written down, and then I'll think of a third one. So number 1, I think the 49ers win the Super Bowl. I
That's
think
not ghost. That's not ghost pepper.
that's a pretty mild one.
Yeah,
Um,
that's garlic parmesan.
I think, yeah, I mean, depending on who you talk to.
I
But yeah,
guess so.
I don't think it's that spicy. I think the Eagles go below 500, and if you
Okay,
want me to put a number to it,
that's a little hotter.
I think they get 4 wins this year.
Oh wow, yeah,
I haven't
that's hot. That's a little hot.
haven't looked at their schedule, so I could be wrong. And I'm gonna go ahead and give maybe my base hot take. I think the Chiefs go 1-1 in playoffs this year.
Really,
I don't think they make it to the conference this year.
the conference finals or whatever,
Yeah,
conference championship. Yeah,
yeah, because I don't think they make number 1 seed, so they have to play in the wild card. And I think they win the wild card, but I don't think they win the divisional round.
that's like yeah, I like that. I don't think that's actually as hard of a take as you think. Just I think it's still a hot take, but I don't think like it's not ghost pepper. I think it's the like the um the original hot, I would say.
Yeah,
Maybe,
I mean,
like brewing stop.
it's just funny because we did spend a good portion of this episode talking about the Chiefs three-peating and how they've improved as a team and stuff. But I will stick with this. I think a lot of the Chiefs' success in the Mahomes era is I don't want to take anything away from Andy Reid. I don't want to take anything away from Patrick Mahomes or Kelsey or even Tyreek Hill, whom I despise.
Who is it?
But I think it's been luck.
Oh, okay.
I think,
Andrew Luck.
yeah,
I just
pulling the strings in the background. That's my hot take. Is he's actually the GM of
he's actually
yeah.
what?
No, I think when you look at their successful years, they came very close to losing against the Bills multiple times in the playoffs. They did lose to the Bengals, And then last year, not against Miami, it might have been against the Bills actually again. Um, no, the Ravens. They came really close to losing against the Ravens. They came really close to losing against the Bills. Um, the year before that, they came. Again, they were pretty close to They were close to losing against the Bengals again. They're very close to losing against the Jaguars, and they also almost lost the Super Bowl last year and this year. I guess last year and the year before. I'm still in 2023 mode, I guess.
Yeah, no,
Like I think, and
yeah,
there's a component of luck, right? To any Super Bowl winning team, there's a component of luck. But I think that luck it can only carry them for so long, and I don't think it's going to carry them that far this year. And I guess to get even spicier, I think this is the year that's going to expose KC as a great team, but not an elite team.
yeah. I mean, they're still like an elite dynasty. I mean, you win two in a row, you're a dynasty, But this year, yeah. I mean, I think just the attrition and the mental aspect, I think, is going to be the biggest thing of trying to get to three in a row. I mean, it's just really tough. I mean, no one's done it for a reason in the NFL. So, um, no, those are some solid takes. Some solid hot takes there. Um, I'm not sure what mine are. I have to think about mine a little bit. Um, one person we haven't brought up yet, Justin Herbert, my boy, right? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen with the Chargers. Like Jim Harbaugh, like that combo. You would think that's a playoff team as well, but neither of us had them making the playoffs. So um, we'll see what happens there. I'm really intrigued by the Chargers as well. I don't have a hot take of whether they're just going to win a few games, something like that with them. But I'm interested to see what the Chargers do too. But yeah, I'll let you know my hot takes.
All right, we'll talk about your hot takes next week then. Um, I mean, when I talk to my coworkers and we were ranking quarterbacks, we were ranking teams. I think they're just trying to guilt me into saying I'm switching to a new job. For those of you guys who are listening, um, and I think they're trying to be like, hey, look how fun it is to talk about sports. Uh, I actually just joined a Pick'ems team. That's another thing that we didn't do this year. Although we've largely moved past doing Pick'ems. Um,
Yeah, we haven't done those in a while, to be honest.
I don't.
Like straight up, like maybe a few games, but
Yeah, I don't.
yeah.
I mean, I don't have too many exciting picks. I have Ravens winning. I guess that's pretty exciting. I have
Who's playing tomorrow again?
Ravens Chiefs.
Oh, Ravens Chiefs tomorrow. Man,
Yeah,
that's a big bang.
or tonight because this is probably not going to get uploaded till after Thursday. I'll try to get them. I still have cooking to do, but yeah, no, I think I just closed my internet browser, so I can't actually look at what my pick 'em picks are. Um, yeah, I think that wraps it up. We had a pretty long episode today. It's about an hour and a half, minus the 10 minutes at the beginning when we were talking about the Olympics. I know you were trying to leave like 40 minutes ago. I'm so sorry, buddy.
No, you're good. You're good. It wasn't like time restricted or something, so I'm good.
Um, oh, were you just? Is that just when the tennis game starts?
No, I have to go to the store real quick,
Oh, I
and
see.
before it closes. But I'll still be open for a little bit, so I'll go after
Hey, real fast, who's the Raiders head coach?
Antonio Pierce.
Okay, I keep thinking that Jim Harbaugh went to the Raiders and not the Chargers.
Chargers.
I
Yeah.
remember talking to you about how I think Harbaugh wants to draft JJ McCarthy, and you're like, I don't know why you'd want to do that, but
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
it's because I thought
he's
he was
got
on the
yeah.
Raiders.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you didn't have any Justin Herbert, then I don't see why not. But
Yeah, I don't actually think the Chargers are going to be that good this year. Um, I think that
yeah,
they
I don't think they have enough. I think they need another year. They could be really good like next year, but it's tough to just turn it around in 1 year. I think Jim Harbaugh could do it. He's done it before in 1 year. I would not be surprised at all, but I'm just not going to predict it right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert's obviously a better quarterback than Alex Smith, even at his peak. I don't think that's a very controversial thing to say.
nah.
And he was able to take Alex Smith and, this unknown quarterback from Las Vegas named Colin Kaepernick to the Super Bowl. Um,
Even in Michigan, his first year when he was in Michigan after the Niners gig, they went from like a sub 500 team to like 10-3 record. So he could do it. He does have a history of turning it around quickly,
I
but
just don't think,
it's a lot. It's a lot to overcome.
and this is the same. So this is the same reason why I don't think the Broncos are necessarily going to go over 500 this year. Is both the Broncos and the Chargers are missing that X factor, and I don't mean quarterback because I think you know being a good quarterback can only get you so far unless you're like a Patrick Mahomes type, where you're just threading needles all day. Um, but there's not really a wide receiver that wows me. And I know I said I was going to talk about Cortland Sutton being overrated. And I think that's a huge can of worms. So we'll hold that off until next week. But yeah, I think Cortland Sutton is overrated, and I don't think the Chargers really have an answer for wide receiver. They don't have anyone
Yeah,
who's a solid number one.
yeah. They got rid of Keenan Allen. I don't even know who the number one is right now, to be honest. Yeah, I would agree with that. Just too many unknowns. At least with the Broncos, it's Peyton's second year, and he's got what it looks like to be his guy as far as running his system. Um, the Chargers, like everything's just super new.
Yeah,
But we'll see. We'll see.
I think the Broncos are. I think if this Bo Nix thing actually works out the way everyone's hoping it will, of we keep Bo Nix instead of switching quarterbacks again, I think the Broncos are good next year, if not the year after that.
I take it. I take it.
Maybe competing with the Chiefs, depending on we'll see. We'll see how the Chiefs are this year. If my hot take is hot doo doo, then I think the Broncos are screwed. But yeah. All right, you've been listening to the sports show. Thank you guys for listening. You can kind of tell energy levels go way down when you have an episode this long. I just keep looking at the clock and just thinking about all the stuff I still need to do today. But you
He
guys
doesn't
don't
want
have
to
to
do
worry about.
anything.
No, I don't. You guys don't have to worry about that because by the time you hear this episode, all that shit will be done. So
Hell
we'll
yeah.
see you next week. We're gonna try going back to back at the beginning of the season because there's still so much shit that I want to talk about that we didn't get to today. We gotta get a better calling card to leave. So take us away, Nate.
Yeah, you listen to the sports show. You'll have a good one.